go to the backup.
Each and every day as they rebuild their lives. But the point is, I knew about this through IPN. Another case in point, this week, it was actually this Tuesday. I was really, really busy here around the shack. I had a lot going on. I was doing my work. And boom, here comes an IPN. We have a deadly shooting in the parking garage of the largest hospital in this town, Florida Hospital South. 2 people confirmed dead by Orlando Police Department in the parking garage. Nobody knew about it. The hospital did not even go into lockdown. This incident happened so quick. It's like boom, boom. 2 people dead in the parking garage. It was unreal. I knew about it through IPN first, even before anybody else knew about it. To give you an idea what I mean about that, 2 hours later, I was watching the news, and the public information officer of Orlando Police Department was on the news saying, well, we cannot confirm that, they've died and they're in critical condition. They had died. I knew about it the moment that this dispatch went out through IPN. The ability to use it as an adjunct to your radio scanner to screen calls and listen is a highly effective tool. Think of it this way. You have a subscription to IPN, you hear something major go on, that is a good reason to go into your shack, turn on your scanner, and monitor the incident even more closely. But the bottom line is, I have knowledge. And remember, knowledge is power. And not only do I feel more safe in my community by having a radio scanner, I feel more safe knowing that I have IPN and I'm knowledgeable to major incidents in my community. NW for the DSTAR Radio Scanning Net. Now, let me tell you the other side of it too. Now, because you already have a scanner, there's no reason to say that you cannot help the folks at IPN. And this is what you can do. You can actually volunteer your time to get certified as a dispatcher through IPN. And I did that this week. I got my certification done through them, if you will, my screening and certification to become a dispatcher for IPN. Now, this is what I do. With IPN, and I have a FLA dispatcher number, that means I'm in Florida. My dispatch number is 290FL. NWX480X of the DSTAR Radio Scanning Net as we continue. So they're just some of the basics of IPN. Now, if you have an interest in dispatching, certainly like I do as a volunteer, you can contact them through the website. But I like the ability to be able to monitor my area, put calls out, and to be able to help my community having verified knowledge through the radio scanner. It's a lot of fun, folks. I think it's a blast. I totally love the service, and I give it the DSRS thumbs up. There's no question. So this is what I call week 2 of disaster scanning. Last week, if you'll recall, when we talked about disaster scanning, just to do a quick review, we talked about utilizing www.radioreference.com, and in the upper left-hand corner, looking at live audio. Let's talk for a second about a review of further disaster scanning. NWX480X with the DSTAR Radio Scanning Net. Now, to step back, if you recall, while Joplin occurred last week live, while we were on the air, I was encouraging you all to go to www.radioreference.com. I went to the feed in Missouri, where Joplin is, in Jasper County, just to give you an idea how popular Radio Reference is. On a given point in time, there may be maybe a dozen people listening to the feed out of Joplin. The numbers went not to a dozen, 100, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 people. 10,000 people. Can you believe that? Know of Radio Reference, and they were all logging in. Now, how did they find this out? They may not all know about Radio Reference. They may know to go to radioreference.com, but a lot of the apps are connected to Radio Reference. Now, we're going to be talking next week about part 3 of disaster scanning. Last week was week 1 where we talked about radioreference.com. This week is IPN. And next week we're going to talk about apps. We're going going to talk about Apple apps. We're going to talk about Droid apps, Android-based applications, and BlackBerry apps that can assist you in radio scanning. And I'm going to give you my favorites. I've got the iPhone 4, so I know it well. I can tell you what Apple apps that I like for it and my iPad. We're going to be talking about some great apps next week. We're going to be talking about 5.0 Radio Scanner, Action Scanner, Radio Scanner, specifically, and we're going to look at those apps and we're going to break them down. And I'm going to show you what really is a great value for your dollar regarding buying apps that can turn any wireless device, your iPhone, your Droid, a phone that has internet connectivity, your BlackBerry, to the internet to make your wireless device a radio scanner and take it with you where you go. And as technology changes, that's exactly where we're heading. We want to be able to take our scanners with us. And there's some amazing technology there that I'm going to share. But in the meantime, remember, www.radioreference.com, and when you hear about a live disaster in the United States, say you're watching Fox or CNN or the Weather Channel. I normally myself, I love watching the Weather Channel during weather emergencies. They really are the expert. They were on scene first in Joplin, Missouri, because they were storm chasing. And to be able to hear an incident and then go to the feed on radioreference.com is amazing. Let me give you another one, for example. And WX480X with the DSTAR Radio Scanning Net. Now, yesterday, if you're familiar, in Charlotte, North Carolina, outside of Charlotte, there was a huge chemical fire. I mean, like 8, 10 alarms, thick, billowing black smoke. It was nuts. You can definitely YouTube that and see the raw video. It's all over YouTube. That's www.youtube.com. And just to take a look at that. But I got a national incident page from IPM, and then I was able to actually go to the feed on radioreference.com and do some amazing scanner monitoring. So again, as we talk tonight, just in review, remember radioreference.com, remember IPN at www.incidentpage, INCIDENT.net, and in addition to that, think about purchasing an app, and we'll talk about that more next week, about apps for your Apple-based products, Droid-based products, and BlackBerry-based products that a lot of you use to turn your cell phone into a radio scanner. Now that's going to conclude tonight's presentation on IPN, Incident Page Network, for the DSTAR Radio Scanning Net. This is Joe, WX480X, and thanks for stopping in to check us out. All right, WX480X with the DSTAR Radio Scanning Net. I'm going to field questions that have to do with my educational presentation. If you have a question about tonight's presentation, in addition to any topics that you would like to hear for the future, we're going to be talking about radio apps next week. Please call
now. KC2ASD to net control.
Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, for the IPN, is there like a monthly or a yearly charge to use that site, or is it a free account?
There is a monthly fee, Rick, to use it, but I think that for the information they provide, it's very affordable.
All right, fine business. So I just let everybody know. All right, KC2ESD back to net control. There's the dogs.
Sure, Rick, and also too, you can let people know that if they're willing to, donate their time as a dispatcher, they can also get their service potentially for free. Depending on how many dispatches you put out. So that's a great way to actually be in on the action and get the service for free. And Rick, thanks for taking the time to record that tonight. I'm anxious to see it on YouTube. WX480X is the net founder of and your net control station of the DSTAR Radio Scanning Net. I wanted to see if there was anyone that had any general check-ins at this time, general check-ins for the DSTAR Radio Scanning Net. If so, please call now.